Let us all rise. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, welcome to the signing ceremony of Declaration of Intent on EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement. We may take our seats. Your Excellency, the President of this great nation, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the CS for Trade and Industry, Honorable Moses Kuria. We also have the VP, the Executive VP, Valdis Dombrovskis. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, Your Excellency, with your permission, we'll start with some opening remarks from the PS Trade, Investment and Industry Principal Secretary Alfred Kombudo to just make some opening remarks, and then we proceed with the program. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and Your Excellency as well, the Executive Vice President of the European Commission, Honorable Cabinet Minister for Investment, Trade and Industry, all permanent secretaries present, all visiting members of the delegation from the European Commission, and also all ambassadors present and all teams, and of course members of the private sector. Good morning once again. We're here today on a very momentous occasion to basically celebrate and indicate to the world that Kenya and the European Union is ready to make significant steps forward in order to strengthen our trading, investment, and economic cooperation. Today is a momentous occasion whereby we shall be telling the world that we are prepared now for an economic partnership agreement between Kenya and the European Union. Today, we shall be having a few statements by the chief negotiators, one from the European Commission and one from Kenya, that's myself, and then we shall proceed to have a statement from Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Investment, Trade and Industry. Thereafter, we shall have a statement from the Executive Vice President from the European Commission, and then we shall ask Honorable the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya to say some words and invite His Excellency the President to speak with us. Thereafter, we shall be signing the joint communique, and that will be done by Cabinet Secretary for Trade, together with the Executive Vice President. You're most welcome today. Thank you very much. So just proceed. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go straight to a few points, and then I shall call the Chief Trade Negotiator from the European Union to basically say a few words as well. What is the Economic Partnership Agreement? The Economic Partnership Agreement is between Kenya, a member of the East African Community on the one part, and the European member and the European Union and the member states on the other part. In essence, this is an agreement between 27 countries on the one part and Kenya, and eventually the rest of the East African Community. We have the Kingdom of Belgium, the Republic of Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, the Kingdom of Denmark, the Federal Republic of Germany, the Republic of Estonia, the Hellenic Republic, the Kingdom of Spain, the French Republic, the Republic of Croatia, the Italian Republic, the Republic of Cyprus, the Republic of Latvia, the Republic of Lithuania, the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, Hungary, the Republic of Malta, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Republic of Austria, the Republic of Poland, the Portuguese Republic, Romania, the Republic of Slovenia, the Slovak Republic, the Republic of Finland, the Kingdom of Sweden, and the European Union on the one hand, and the Republic of Kenya on the other hand. The EPA stands on the shoulders of agreements that have been done between us as an African continent and our European brothers and sisters, starting from the Cotonou to Ouagadougou, and also takes recognition of the fact that the East African community is going to be an extremely important pillar of this agreement. The agreement covers several things that are very foundational and fundamental to trade and investment between the two partners. We have finalized an agreement on trade in goods, whereby we shall now have ease in as far as customs procedures. We have agreed on a modality to do rules of origin. We have agreed on issues to do with how movements of goods will be done, taxes and duties, non-tariff measures, transit standards, sanitary and phytosanitary standards, and so on and so forth. This agreement also makes significant progress in as far as making it easy for fisheries, agriculture, economic and development cooperation, dispute resolution, and very importantly, for trade and for sustainable development to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is momentous because for the first time, Kenya shall be enjoying quota-free, duty-free, predictable, permanent access to an extremely large market, which currently is Kenya's largest trading partner, whereby we export well over $1 billion every year. And the chief trade negotiators and their teams managed to finalize this, a process that had been outstanding for over 8 years. We look forward to this, but most importantly, and as Honorable the Cabinet Secretary indicated just a few moments ago, we look forward to this being an indication to the world that Kenya and the European Union stand shoulder to shoulder in as far as deepening trade, deepening investment, but at the same time strengthening our economic cooperation. In order to do so, we shall be working with our partners to strengthen access to both markets. We shall be working with our partners to green trade. We shall be working with our partners to strengthen the logistics such that we have close to carbon neutral ways of getting goods across the globe. And we shall be working with our partners to ensure that we shall never derogate the environment as we pursue trade and investment. And this is a very strong shared objective by the two parties. I'd now like to welcome my colleague in this process, the chief negotiator for the European Union, Dora Correa, to basically come and share some words. Let us give her a round of applause for the very good task that she's managed to complete. Thank you.
His Excellency President Ruto, dear Deputy President Kachagua, dear Executive Vice President Dombrovskis, Cabinet Secretary Kuria, Principal Secretary Kombudu, dear Alfred, Ambassador Geiger, dear ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honor and the pleasure today of outlining the content of our EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement. Today is a very special day. The length of trade negotiations with the EU is often measured in years or decades. Nonetheless, after a few months of bilateral talks, today we mark the conclusion of negotiations which will allow us, EU and Kenya, to implement the original agreement we have concluded with Eastern African countries and that we both signed way back in 2016. I want to express my gratitude for the commitment and the resolve of His Excellency, President Ruto and his administration, as well as for the leadership of Executive Vice President Dombrovskis, which have allowed to close these negotiations so swiftly and so decisively. The agreement has hundreds of pages, so let me outline three core elements. First, the centerpiece of all trade agreements, market access. Kenyan exports will enjoy duty and quota-free access to the European market from day one. And here is a very important distinction. Kenya, given its economic development status, will only have to open its own market for EU production later and very gradually. The EU is Kenya's exports' major market. Reliability of the business environment, reliability of market access is possibly the single most important factor for investment decisions. So guaranteeing EU market access will draw in investors to Kenya. Kenya is also a growing middle-income economy, and to develop its industries, Kenya needs quality imported products and needs scale in their export market. So the agreement is a win-win solution. Secondly, the agreement will also be a very important platform for cooperation on many sectors. Let me give you a few examples. With a view to food security, we agreed we would cooperate in the areas of agricultural transformation. We agreed we would exchange information on investment opportunities in the agricultural sector, including for smallholders. We will also work together to encourage EU private sector to invest in Kenya and for a secure investment climate. Lastly, we agreed to cooperate on sanitary and phytosanitary standards, which are essential for Kenya vegetable and fruit exports to enter the EU market. The third cornerstone of the agreement is trade and sustainability. Kenya is a like-minded partner to make sure trade and investment go hand in hand with social and environmental sustainability. Building on our international commitments, we hold ourselves accountable to implement the principles of international core labor standards, such as freedom of association and the abolition of child labor. We are also unified in our commitment to effectively implement the Paris Agreement to combat climate change. And, of course, particularly relevant for Kenya, we have also committed to protect biodiversity and fight against illegal wildlife trade. We will approach these commitments in a joint effort of cooperation and support. These three core elements, market access, cooperation, sustainability, really demonstrate the objective of this partnership agreement: to boost trade and investment based on cooperation and sustainability. Last but not least, I also want to thank my counterpart, PS Alfred Kamburu, for our very trustworthy and efficient cooperation, which has allowed us to be here today. So many thanks, Alfred. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Madam. And thank you for working hard. It was really commendable.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Dora Correa, Chief Negotiator for the European Union, in respect of this agreement that we are now looking forward to completing and coming into effect. Okay. I am instructed that we shall flip the program a bit and we shall do the signing of the joint communique first, then we shall proceed to the speeches. And therefore, I would like to request Honorable the Chief Negotiator to maybe come back towards the stage. And I would also like to now request Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Trade, Moses Kuria, and Honorable the Executive Vice President, Mr. Dombrovskis, to also come to the stage so that we can actually do the signing. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Wonderful. That's great. Thank you. Again.
Okay, so I'd now like to invite Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industry to speak with us. Karibu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable William Samoei Ruto, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the EVP of the European Union, Valdis Dombrovskis, our chief negotiators, Dora and PS Alfred, ladies and gentlemen, and also our envoys. Today is a very proud moment for Kenya, and I believe it's a very proud moment for the European Union. When the new government took office in Kenya some 8 months ago, we found a conversation that was centered around what we considered to be symptoms rather than the virus or the disease. And the conversation was around the topics of macroeconomic issues, matters of inflation, matters of debt, matters of fiscal deficits. And it was our considered opinion that those were actually symptoms, not the virus. The actual virus was lack of production, or the cogs of the wheel of production of our country and our economy had ground to a halt. And so therefore, we identified 3 areas or 3 major issues that we wanted to focus on so that we can get the wheel of production moving again. One of them was reviving our manufacturing, which had declined from 9% of our GDP to 7%. Our foreign direct investment, which had stagnated to around $500 million US, and most important for what we are doing today, our exports, which had dropped over the last 8 years from 28% to a low of 10% in just 8 short years. And so therefore, to revive the engine of our exports, we set aside upon a journey to do 3 things on the reviving exports. And we gave it an acronym of AFP. For the French who are here, that has got nothing to do with your press agency. It is an acronym for access, facilitation, and promotion. And so we said, we are going to go to our shelves and dust off all the agreements that were meant to create access for our products. And in this regard, the European Union, being a very important trading partner, was top on that list. In November, Dora from the European Union came calling together with members of European Parliament, and we said that by 31st of March, we must have entered into the most active phase of our negotiation. And we gave ourselves also a deadline of 30th of June 2023 to actually get the negotiation and the agreement settled. I am proud to say that starting here today, we have beat that deadline by 11 days, and that is remarkable. And this is significant because this agreement was, this process started 9 years ago in the year 2014. So to conclude it in just 7 months is remarkable. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the chief negotiators, Dora and Alfred, for the hard work, for the honesty. Trade negotiation is not an easy thing. Somebody said trade negotiation is a civil version of war. It is not that easy. So for us to be able to conclude this process that was started some 7 months ago, 9 years ago, in just 7 months is remarkable. Going forward after this agreement, we are looking forward to a very quick ratification by the Kenyan Parliament and by the European Parliament. We are going to do what it takes for us to talk to our Parliament. I am a former member of Parliament, so I know that space very well. And as we agreed with the counterparts from the European Union, we are going to camp in Brussels. And I want to invite His Excellency the President to also go to Brussels, also being a former member of Parliament, to assist us in talking to the European Parliament, as indeed I want to welcome the EVP to also come and address our Parliament at some point, because we want a very, very rapid and very judicious conclusion of this particular process. Kenya believes that multilateralism is a way to go. We are signing this agreement today, not because we are just Africans or we are Europeans, or because we have got the rights by birth to being born in Africa and Europe. We are not signing this because of the economic status of Kenya and the European Union. We are signing this because these are issues that we agree on. These are issues that there is absolutely no dispute, no variance between Kenya and the European Union. And I want to encourage, yet again, as I did during the business forum by the European Union, let us encourage countries to get into trade agreements or trade structures, because it makes sense for their people, for uplifting their people out of poverty. Let us not bask in the glory of, I belong to this and that economic category, or I belong to this and that continent. Let us do this because it makes sense for us. This agreement today, hopefully, will open doors for our other partners within the East African community, our 7 countries there, our 300 million people there, indeed graduating into the 28 member states of a tripartite free trade agreement, which we hope to ratify and operational very soon, so that that can be a very good building block between our 28 countries of the TFTA and the 27 countries of Europe, as we pave the way for all other African countries within the context of AFCFTA to be able to build on what we start today. Of course, for us to do this, we have to get the support, one, of our respective peoples in Kenya and the European Union, but also to demonstrate that it pays for us to have multilateralism, and that protectionism has got no place in the modern world economy. So we want to work together with the European Union and Kenya to work on a program of early harvest, where we align the programs that are there within the European Union with the Kenya Kwanza government priorities within our plan, so that we can be able to demonstrate to our respective peoples, our region, and our respective continents that indeed multilateralism pays. So thank you very much, and congratulations to all. Thank you. So let me take this opportunity to welcome the EVP of the European Union, Vardes, to come and make his remarks. Thank you very much. Karibu.
Your Excellency, President Ruto, Your Excellency, Deputy President Gachagua, Minister Kuria, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by thanking you for a warm welcome to your beautiful country. Kenya is an economic hub for East Africa, a stable democracy with a vibrant media and civil society, a beacon of dynamism and opportunity. On behalf of the European Union, it's my great honor to be here for what is a truly historic occasion. The conclusions of the negotiations of Economic Partnership Agreement marks a new and exciting departure in our relations. We are not starting from scratch. The EU is already a major trading partner for Kenya. To give just one example, over 70% of Kenya's flour production is exported to the EU, creating an estimated 2.5 million direct and indirect jobs in this country. And Kenya is the EU's first trading partner in the Eastern African community. Last year, our trade grew over 10%. Over the past decade, the EU private sector has made available more than 1 billion euros of investments in Kenya. During the course of my visit, I have engaged with businesses from both Kenya and the EU, and there is a strong appetite for boosting trade and investment partnerships on both sides. With this deal in place, we have the right platform to do so. Kenya's exports to the EU will be tariff-free from the day one after its entry into force. This means full and unhindered access to the EU market. This creates strong incentives for trade and for EU companies to invest in Kenya. Indeed, this agreement provides wider incentives for increasing foreign direct investment. It is also accompanied by the trade-related development cooperation. The goal here is to support job creation and sustainable economic growth, with a particular focus on micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. And I can assure you that those are not idle promises. The statistics prove that trade and investment grow whenever a country or region signs an agreement with the EU. This is what sets the EU apart as a strategic partner. We follow through on our commitments, and we do so while playing by the rules. When you agree a deal with us, you build a cooperation platform that is predictable, trustworthy, reliable, and mutually beneficial. In a wider sense, this agreement provides a solid foundation for cooperation across a range of important areas. This matters because the EU and Kenya are aligned on many global issues, ranging from a support of rules-based multilateral order to climate action. This agreement contains strong ambitions on trade and sustainable development. Indeed, this is the most ambitious trade deal the EU has concluded with any African country when it comes to climate protection, labor rights and gender equality. This will benefit both sides, our people, our environment and our climate. And let's be clear, it will also benefit our economies. Countries and regions that make moves towards sustainable development with the end goal of green and digital economic transformation will be winners already in the near future. The EU's Global Gateway is driving forward a number of exciting projects in this respect. Already, 3.4 billion euros have been mobilized to support over 150 projects. Those cover areas like renewable and accessible energy, including green hydrogen, electrical mobility, sustainable agricultural value chains, circular and sustainable economy, climate resilience, and environmental conservation. And when it comes to digitalization, around 500 million euros have been mobilized to support 20 different projects here in Kenya on connectivity, jobs and skills, and digital governance. We have also agreed that consultations with key stakeholders, including civil society, is an important feature of successful implementation of the agreement. So, in short, we want to offer our full support for Kenya's move towards economic model that combines sustainable growth and decent job creation with environmental conservation and climate resilience. And of course, the EU is equally bound by the commitments. We will work together to jointly live up to agreed obligations in the area of trade and sustainable development and provide support where suitable. By the way, it also applies for so-called autonomous measures of the EU, which are greening trade, for example, carbon border adjustment mechanism or deforestation legislation. We will work in close partnership with you on implementation of these measures. This includes targeted support, such as technical assistance, technology transfer, extensive capacity building, and financial support. The objective is to develop industrial production structures that are compatible with long-term climate objectives. Finally, let me remind you that this deal is open for other members of East African Community to join. The agreement between EU and Kenya is in fact a bilateral implementation of regional agreement with Eastern African Community. This was agreed in 2016, but was not being able to enter into force. Therefore, the Economic Partnership Agreement, for which we have concluded negotiations today, has kept its regional characteristics and remains open to other member states of East African Community. The EU remains fully supportive of deeper integration of this region and as well as ongoing development of Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We understand better than anyone the benefits of breaking down political and economic barriers, and we stand ready to provide assistance and expertise whenever it is requested by our African partners. So let me conclude once again by repeating that what momentous day this is for EU-Kenya relations. I look forward now to move as quickly as possible to signature and successful implementation of this agreement so that our people and economies can begin feeling its benefits. Thank you.
Thank you, Valdez, for those wonderful comments. Your Excellency, you know, for us to sign an agreement, the negotiation requires a lot of truth. So now it is my pleasure to invite the truthful man, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, to address the country.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Executive Vice President of the EU, the Ambassador of the EU to this country, our Minister for Investment, Trade and Industry, and all those present, good morning. Your Excellency, this is a great morning for your administration and for this country. Your Excellency, the agreement that has been signed today has been stuck for the last 14 years, and within 9 months of your leadership, Your Excellency, what appeared impossible has been done. Your Excellency, this is evident fruition of your hands-on style of management. I was reading sometime, I think a month ago, some newspaper was complaining about your style of management, that you are hands-on. What I couldn't understand is, had they done some research, they would come to the conclusion that all successful institutions, all successful organizations are those who are led by the CEOs who practice the hands-on style of management. Your Excellency, this was stuck for many years. And through prudent commitment and focused leadership, you gave deadlines, you encouraged everybody to work, and that is why we have this agreement today. Your Excellency, yesterday morning, I found another headline saying that for the time you have been in office, you have spent 3 times what your predecessor spent on local and international travel. But these people are not honest enough and objective to also outline the level of activities that you have carried out in that period, because cost is determined by the level of activity. So I do invite the media to take time to find out when the president has traveled and to which country, what is the gain for the country. It's only then you can make an objective analysis. Your Excellency, as you took up the reins of this country, you found the economy in a quagmire, and you have taken a two-phased approach. One is to harness revenue collection locally. Number two is to reach out to our international friends and development partners to harness resources for this country's development. We want to encourage you to continue traveling to each and every country in the world and bring resources for the development of this country. And Your Excellency, I don't understand these people sometimes. They complain that you are traveling too much. At the same time, they complain that I'm not traveling. I don't know which is which. Because I saw them complaining that since you leave me around to mind the house, they say that you have stopped me from traveling and assigned me what they call useless duties. On the same page, they are complaining that you have traveled too much. I don't know what is it that they want to do. Your Excellency, we want to encourage you that you must continue with bilateral and multilateral diplomacy for the benefit of this country as you continue to locally harness resources to restore the economy of this country to where President Mwai Kibaki left us. With those very many remarks, I request you to be upstanding and help me to usher in the President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. President.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. Let's take our seats. Thank you very much. My good friend, Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis of the EU Commission, ambassadors present, our two great people, Dora and Alfred, who managed to do the hard work so that we can have this agreement in place, ambassadors representing various EU countries present, private sector members who are here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to this great morning, a very important occasion when we finally are putting pen to paper on an agreement that has been outstanding since 2016, when we agreed as members of the East African community to engage with our brothers in the EU with the view of having a partnership agreement. Welcome, my friend Dombrovskis, to Nairobi. I'm informed that you have been to the national park to enjoy our wildlife. I'm also told you have been to some of our flower farms to see how the fine produce that you find in Europe, where it is grown, how it is grown, by who. That's very encouraging. Nairobi is a very interesting city, as you may have known. On one side, we have a whole wildlife national park. On the other side, we have a canopy of forest in the middle of town. That is how Kenyans blend diverse elements and generate sustainable complementarity. The government and the people of Kenya acknowledge with great appreciation the cordial relations existing between the EU, represented here by great ambassadors, out of which a long-standing and fruitful partnership has emerged and grown to cover several areas of mutual interest, including trade, investment, development cooperation. And I record here that EU is the second most important development partner for Kenya after the World Bank. And it speaks to the great friendship and partnership between our two countries. We are our country and the EU. We are here today to mark a very important milestone in our remarkable partnership, the conclusion of the negotiation of the EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement. I recall when we last met in Brussels, and I came in March this year. We tasked the chief negotiators to expedite the outstanding aspects of the process with a view to reaching a conclusion before June this year. This is an agreement that has been outstanding for almost 8 years. And if we had left it the way it was, it would take another couple of years. As was said here, agreements are negotiated over years, maybe decades. But the record 7 months that this agreement has been brought to conclusion with the active, dedicated, committed support and working round the clock by Dora and Alfred deserves commendation. Congratulations. Tuwapigie makofi jameni. Thank you very much. When I had an engagement with the President of the EU Commission, I did commit that the government of Kenya will do its part to make sure that we conclude this agreement before June this year. And I want to thank the two chief negotiators for being good people at taking instructions. When I am therefore greatly pleased that this has been accomplished, and I want to thank the EU Director, Trade for Africa and Kenya's Principal Secretary and their technical teams. I know behind them have been many people who have put this agreement together. Today's milestone also represents a giant step forward for the East African community partners, because as my good friend has said, this agreement just sets the stage for finally bringing the East African community partner states into the agreement. And I have also issued instructions to Moses that, and I want to commit to our EU friends, that by you signing this agreement with Kenya, we also commit that we will work with our East African partner states, we will work with the 28 African states that are members of the tripartite free trade agreement so that we can bring them on board this agreement subsequently. And hopefully we can also take this all the way to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area so that we can build a bigger market, build a bigger consensus, and be able to do more with the populations that exist between Europe and Africa. This achievement also represents a fundamental deliverable under the EU-Kenya strategic dialogue, our mechanism for advancing our common strategic interests in trade, investment, peace, and security in our region, and the transition to green energy and the digital economy. It signals our long-term commitment to ensure that farmers, including those in the flour, coffee, tea, fish, peas, and the edible fruits and nuts sector, are assured of a predictable market. Although the EU is already Kenya's largest export destination, accounting for 21% of Kenya's total exports, the agreement we have negotiated provides significant opportunities to enhance this performance. It assures a stable market for industrialists, for our farmers, and also industrialists in the European Union that deal in machinery and mechanical appliances, pharmaceutical products, chemicals, electrical machinery, beverages, and other processed products of an assured market in our country. Additionally, the agreement will grant Kenyan products immediate duty-free, quota-free entry into the EU from the day it comes into effect. And in recognition of our varied stage of progress along the development journey, products from the EU will progressively receive duty reductions over a period of 25 years. Beyond trade, the agreement is also designed to stimulate investment and manufacturing. Consequently, Kenya is prepared to strengthen its manufacturing sector in order to enhance our exports to EU globally. We are finally ready to take our place as a global player in export-led manufacturing and services. I encourage European companies that import goods from Kenya to invest in value addition here and export finished value-added products out of Kenya. And just to put this in context, we are looking at it both two ways, that we will enhance our exports because we now have an assured, predictable market, but also we are negotiating because Kenya is now working on our manufacturing capacity, that most of the products that we export today, including our tea, including our coffee, we have to take them now through the process of value addition, processing, and manufacturing so that we can export finished products, we can derive more value, and we can put more money in our farmers' pockets. In our budget this year, we have removed taxes on packaging material to facilitate export of finished products that are packed by Kenyan and European partners working together to export our products. It is our intention to reverse our manufacturing as a percentage of GDP that has been going down. We now need to take it to 15% in the next 5 years and hopefully 20% by 2030. That commitment will be backstopped by this agreement. It gives us greater emphasis and opportunity for us to be able to do that. Additionally, it will also give us the opportunity to enhance our exports. As has been said, we've had challenges with our exports as a percentage of GDP, and this opportunity also will give us the chance to be able to enhance that. Nafikiri nitasema kwa Kiswahili kidogo, tuelewe ya kwamba hii agreement ambayo tumekamilisha kwa miezi 7 ambayo imekuwa ikishughulikiwa kwa miaka 7 na ingeendelea vile ilikuwa inaendelea, ingechukua miaka zingine nyingi. Wakati nimeenda Brussels, tumekubaliana na president wa EU ya kwamba hii agreement imeshughulikiwa kwa muda mrefu, tukamilishe kabla ya tarehe 30 June mwaka huu, na nafurahi ya kwamba tumekamilisha in time. Na sasa mambo mawili yatafanyika. Ya kwanza, tutaongeza ile mazao yetu ya kilimo na products zingine ambazo tunapeleka katika EU market. Pale katika EU market ni watu karibu nusu bilioni ambayo sasa ni soko ya taifa letu la Kenya. Na ni nchi 27 ambayo hii agreement itakuwa imewekwa sahihi kati ya Kenya na nchi 27 za EU. Na nia yetu ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunafungua soko kwa mazao yetu ya kilimo, kahawa, chai, mboga, maua na zile products zingine zote. Na vile vile tumeshakubaliana ya kwamba hatutakuwa tunauza mazao yetu bila ya kuongeza dhamana. Na ndio sababu vile vile tumesema sasa tutafanya partnership kati ya kampuni za Kenya na kampuni za EU ili tuweze kuwa na value addition, agro processing, manufacturing, ndio tuweze kuuza mazao yetu kwa bei ya sawa, tuweze kufanya ajira kwa vijana wetu kupitia hiyo mpango ya value addition, na vile vile wakulima wapate mazao zaidi. Na ni ya muhimu kwamba sekta ya kilimo ambayo ni sekta ya kwanza ambayo tumetambua kama manifesto ya Kenya Kwanza tuishughulikie kwa mpango huu. A further achievement of the negotiated agreement is that it anchors Kenya as a natural hub for European companies seeking markets in the EAC, COMESA, and SADC, and eventually to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. By locating your investment in Kenya, you will gain market access to the rest of the African continent. And I am pleased that we are doing this at a time when we are also advancing the implementation of the Global Gateway Africa Europe Investment Package, which was announced at the 6th EU-AU Summit in February. It will promote trade and investment accompanied by trade-related development cooperation, thereby further deepening the economic ties between EU, Kenya, boosting sustainable economic growth, and enabling us to create more jobs. It will also provide new opportunities for Kenyan and European businesses, including those in the micro, small, and medium enterprise space. Even though the negotiations are now concluded, it is important to note that the chief negotiators will now lead their teams in finalizing the text and proceed to initiate the procedures that culminate in ratification and eventually entry into force of the agreement. I call upon them to move with speed, the same speed. Maybe you can accelerate a bit so that this agreement can be implemented beginning next year. The EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement also anchors a framework which enables us to direct our strategic focus towards tackling climate change and further commits the parties to take active measures to promote sustainable trade. I look forward to deepening the partnership between Kenya and the European Union in signaling to the world that trade and investment must not imperil the planet and can rather save it. The agreement will facilitate the achievement of Kenya's ambition to transition to the green economy, and we will deepen trade and trade-related policy measures that will create a supportive business ecosystem for Kenyan firms to participate in sustainable global value chains. In addition, Kenya now has further impetus to tap into sustainable global value chains, invest in competitiveness for sustainable manufacture of high-value products, accelerate technology acquisition as well as innovation for product development, widen opportunities available in green finance and investment, and strengthen our framework for export trade, including recalibrating our foreign trade and commercial service sector to align it with emerging export opportunities. Under our bottom-up agenda for economic transformation, we are committed to enhance our manufacturing share as a percentage of GDP and also lift our exports to GDP ratio. This is the purpose of our flagship, the county aggregation and industrial parks, to be established in our 47 counties. And already 14 of those county aggregation and industrial parks have already been advertised. The others are on the way. And added on to the ecosystem we want to build around consolidating our products around our county aggregation and industrial parks, we are also establishing at least a market in each of our 290 counties and establishing a market in each of our municipalities in the country. In essence, we have an ecosystem of an extra 400 markets around Kenya that will be used for the consolidation of our products so that traceability, so that value addition, agro-processing can be brought into that ecosystem. And I want to thank the EU for agreeing to partner with us in that space of ensuring that we have an ecosystem that will support our farmers to aggregate their products so that we can engage in value addition, we can do processing, and we can export our products processed and create jobs locally. To facilitate the uptake of opportunities made available under the new agreement, the government remains committed to continuous implementation of the business climate reform agenda and to sustain our position as a continental leader in institutional evolution. For instance, you are aware of the steps we have taken to automate 7,000 government services I think 5,000 will be complete by the end of this month, to make it much more easier for citizens to access government services and for investors and entrepreneurs to do business with Kenya. I want to thank EU again for the partnership we have in this space of ensuring that technology is centralized in the delivery of our trade and our government services. I therefore wish to call upon you to work with us to sustain our partnership and collaborate in proactively translating the opportunities unlocked by this agreement into tangible outcomes that actualize sustainable development. As I conclude, I wish to reiterate our commitment as the Government of Kenya to continue collaborating with the EU and the private sector as we walk this journey towards building a stronger partnership. I look forward again to a conversation with the EU Parliament later this year on the big subject of what we can do together, sustainable agriculture, managing climate crisis that we have, and a candid discussion on a new partnership agreement around our international financing or financial architecture. We will be having that conversation later this week in Paris, and I look forward to an engagement in Brussels later this year. And I have already invited the EU Vice President to come for the Africa Climate Summit in September this year, so that we can consolidate our thoughts as a continent, share them with the rest of the globe as we go to the UN General Assembly and eventually to COP28. Thank you very much for coming for this great ceremony. Congratulations to all the good people, all the hardworking people that have put this agreement that is in many pages together, and for allowing us, those who did the least, to take the credit. So thank you very much, and my very best wishes.
Thank you, Excellency. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this session, and we'll allow His Excellency to retreat. Then the rest of us will kindly